Hi everyone, and welcome to this exciting LinkedIn live session. If you are in a QA, you already know testing isn't just about finding bugs anymore. It is about speed, efficiency, and making sure automation actually helps, not hurts your CI/CD pipeline. But here is a real question. Is your test automation truly accelerating releases or is it causing delays? Are your test cases well managed or they are scattered across the spreadsheets and tools? And most importantly, can AI actually fix test management challenges? If any of this sounds familiar, you are in the right place. Today, I am excited to have Robbie from PractiTest with us, and we are diving deep into how AI is changing test management and fixing automation roadblocks. Get ready for the practical insight, myth busting, and real world solutions. And don't forget, we are going to take all your questions live today. So drop them in the comments as and when they pop in your head. Hi, Robbie, and welcome to this conversation.
Hi, Neelam. Thank you very much for having me.
Robbie, before we start with our discussion, it would be really nice if you can introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, we'll be happy to do this. So thanks again for having me. Yeah, my name is Robbie, and I'm working in the software domain almost over 30 years now. And I started my career as a developer, then moved on for project and product management. Also led teams of product of different services as well with customers. And in the past 8 years, I am working as solution architect, which means that I really had the chance to work from end to end all the software development lifecycle, and it gives me a nice overview of the end to end problems of how it works, what can be wrong, and how to see it also from the eyes of the developer, but also from the eyes of the end user.
Perfect. It can't be better than this. So, for the first time, I am going to hear it from the other side of the table. I've been tester all my life long. I have worked closely with the customer, with their pain points and all. But what developers think while working on the solution and the problem statement, that's what we are going to hear today in this conversation. Okay, my first question to you is that's a core problem. What is the number one mistake when it comes to test management?
Well, I think that the main mistakes are, or the main problems actually are the siloed data. Okay, we know that today we need a lot of different tools in the software management lifecycle. Different tools such as the ticketing systems, such as Jira or ADO, and then we have a lot of other tools for the CI management, and then for automation, and especially today when AI is kicking in, it just increasing the number of the different tools that we have to synchronize. So it means that the data is really siloed and we do not have the end-to-end view of all the different information that goes on, what we are testing, how we are testing them, what is the status, where we have bottlenecks, traceability, not to mention, which is really a great problem. So I think the number one problem today is not to have a tool that can collect all the information into one place where you have visibility, traceability, and control.
I can totally see that silos data, and it's not just about the number of tools, but also it is about the alignment between these tools. It's like you become more of a burden, tools become more of a burden than a solution if you're not managing them in the right way. Yeah,
That's
I totally echo with that.
that's correct, and in addition to it, also the collaboration between the teams. So it's not just that the data is sitting in different places, but different teams using different tools. For example, the development teams working on the Jira platform, and the testing teams working on their test management tools. And if there is no right and correct integration, synchronization between those, then there is a gap in the collaboration between the teams.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Now, how do you see that AI is becoming a superhero, which everyone left and right is talking about, and how AI is actually making a difference in test management today?
Yeah, AI is really a great tool. I think it will help us a lot, both in the development and also in the testing as well. But we have to know, how to manage it, because if we let AI to test everything, which can be great, but we still have to know that we are covered. We have to know that we are really testing everything. We are not under testing. We are not over testing. We know what to test and when to test, what to call back. We need to know the traceability. If there is a problem, which functions, which services it can hurt, so what to call back and on what to work. So as a tool, AI, it's a great thing, but we still have to manage it, and it will be
Yeah.
even become more complex to manage it than what we had until now, because it's harder to see what's happening.
I again echo with this. I also see AI as your personal assistants. Um, you can really bring out the best in your work if you know how to leverage the capabilities instead of depending 100% on them.
Mm,
Um,
correct.
so yeah, I totally agree with your thoughts here. Can you tell me more about what is PractiTest and how does it solve the challenges which you just now mentioned with Jira and spreadsheets? Um, how
Yeah,
does
happy
it
to do
help?
that. Yeah, so PractiTest is a standalone end-to-end test management tool. In PractiTest, you have all the features, all the different modules to manage all the requirements that you have to manage your tests, both automation and manual tests as well, to connect seamlessly and integrate with any other third-party tools. We are agnostic actually with which other tools you are working, but we can still synchronize the data, we can synchronize the processes and manage it from a single place. We have a really, really great data management approach, which help us and help the customers to manage all the artifacts in a very dynamic way. So you don't have to clone data. You still have, the full capacity of and ability to reuse tests, to reuse steps in the tests, but without cloning any data. So it makes actually the maintenance super easy, the navigation in the tools super easy. Uh, and finally, we also have a very, very rich uh, directory of and capabilities of dashboards and reporting. So you can also see and also export this to external stakeholders as well. So in a nutshell, it's a standalone tool on one hand, but very tightly integrated with all the tools that you have in a company, which helps the end-to-end view, which helps collaboration between the teams, and give you a very dynamic and easy way to manage all your models and testing artifacts.
Perfect. Now, when you say it is very, very easy, I want you to define the easiness in terms of score. How would you score for the users like me who do the testing work? And how would you score practice test for any complex enterprise organization? They have a very complex setup with tools and license and infrastructure. How easy is to put PractiTest in that premises? Maybe 1 to 10 score, 10 being the most difficult, 1 being the most least. difficult?
Well, the most difficult is always, of course, to manage all the automation end-to-end work. So this is the most complex part. But what is very important, PractiTest is not just a platform. Okay, we are your partners. We are our customer partners in the real life. We have a customer success team that helps our customers all the way from the onboarding to through all the life cycle of the project, and we are helping our customers actually with best practices and how to achieve the goals of the end and fine tune the configuration of and the use of practice platform with the goals and with the processes of our customers. So actually, even if it comes to something that you say a score, even if it comes to some complex processes on the scale of 7, 8, 9, we're still there for you. We're still there for customers. So you're not alone. You don't have to do it alone. We are there and we are helping. So at the end, for the customers, it comes very easy.
Perfect. Yeah. And you mentioned PractiTest is also tool agnostic. So does it integrate with CI/CD tools?
Yes, we have very tight integration with CI/CD tools as well, such as ADO, such as Git, such as Jenkins. But again, we are agnostic, which means that we have different tools that can synchronize the work with those tools, that can actually trigger and manage the tools. So even in PractiTest, you can schedule and or run anything on demand directly in those tools. And receive the data back and the results very easily back from the tools. So this is the reason why we are saying we are agnostic. Actually, we are invite you to use all the tools that you're already using. You don't have to change anything when you're onboarding PractiTest.
Okay, so what I can understand, it is going to give a nice balance of speed and reliability by
That's
using
very
practice.
correct. Yes.
Okay, so to me it sounds like a right coffee to code ratio.
Yeah, that's a nice way to
Um,
put it.
yeah. Um, do you have any? Have you ever implemented the tool with any customer? Do we have any good, nice success story?
Yeah, we have a lot of very good success stories, fortunately. So let's just to give one example. One of our customers in the USA with over 2 billion US dollar of revenue, of yearly revenue, and over 2,000 employees, they had a lot of different problems around the efficiency, especially around the orchestration of automated testing. Now, the customer in the first year, they achieved, just in the automation part, they achieved a 15% of improvements in the efficiency, 20% in the second year, and 25% in the third year. And in addition to that, also a 30% better processes in the manual testing. Now, this efficiency was measured actually with hours of work. The KPI was the hours of work that they have to invest. And of course, beyond the hours that they saved, also the quality was highly improved. And at the end of the 3-year process, they achieved a 318% of ROI. So it was a very, very successful first 3 years, and they are still our customers and very happy customers, actually. So this is just one example. How can you really fast, not just have your ROI, but increase your efficiency and increase the quality of your product, so also your customers are getting happier.
Yeah, so it's a good productivity numbers. By the end of 3 years, if 25-30% is a productivity, it's actually an amazing productivity numbers. I have worked with a lot of complex enterprises setup, so I know 30% is a good productivity number, which is very impressive. And I actually like happy endings. It looks like it starts from a disaster and it ended happily, especially when they involve saving time, reducing bugs, or increasing the productivity, or even if it is cutting some of the tools cost, that is a happy ending.
Yeah, especially when we are speaking about, escaped bugs. So if you can prevent, bugs escaping, which can damage, the monitoring of the company, and this can be a disaster.
Yeah.
So I think that this is the most important KPI that where you can show the real improvement.
Yeah. Okay. Now, since we you have mentioned that this word KPI, can you talk a little more about around it? Uh, First, what's KPI? Who doesn't understand the meaning? Second, what are the basic minimum KPIs which we should measure in order to make our software more effective?
Yes. So yeah, KPI, the meaning of it is key performance indicator, which means that this is the way how we can measure actually different things, not just in the testing world, of course. And this is very important because when we try to, to compare improvements, then you have to know that how you are trying to measure this and what are, the main key indicators, the measurements that you would like to improve. Now, it can be, I think that the most important ones is the time that you have to invest, is the bugs that escape, or let's say from how early in the process. When we're speaking about, the push left process, which is a very known um process today in the software market, which means that try to find your problems as soon as possible. And for that, you need, an agile project management and trying, already actually during the development process, trying to find the bugs, the problems, the defects that you have. The later you find those problems, the bigger change you have to do because it can involve additional functionalities, additional teams, more collaboration, and not just a single service or a single piece of code that you have to change. So the ideal process is that try on already on the development, involve testing already during the involvement process, and don't just test the end product. So I think that this is the most important.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, the cost of discovering the bugs at a later stage is higher than, sometimes it is much higher than fixing it, even it at the testing phase. So yeah, and we have seen the disaster multiple times. Latest one was a Microsoft Windows, which went away for few hours last year somewhere,
Yeah, I
and we
remember.
all were very productive. So yeah, I can relate to this what you said right now. Um, Also, can you talk about some of the common mistakes in test automation? Maybe top three mistake which usually people do, and how PractiTest can help solving them.
Yeah, so I think that the first problem, I don't know if it's a mistake or it's just the lack of management, let's call it like this, is that in companies we see that they're starting to write, in automation different scripts, and then those scripts you're storing them in a repository, for example in Git, and then you're just adding more and more and more scripts. Now, what's happening that after a few years, you have tens of thousand scripts. Some of them you don't. You don't know who wrote those tests, what they're doing actually, but
Yeah.
no one deleting them or no one try to review them. You don't have the time to review them. You
Yeah.
don't want to remove them because you don't know what it tests, and then the time of testing is just increasing and increasing and increasing. Now the problem with that is that it's, first of all, your time is just, you don't have time to test everything because of such a long testing library. But you also don't know the coverage. You are losing your coverage. You don't know if you are really covering what you think that you are covering, and
Yeah.
also the traceability, because you don't, when there are problems and there are bugs, you don't know how to relate it back to the original feature, to the original requirement.
Yeah.
So the lack of management, I think that this is the number one mistake that we can
Yeah.
do in in,
Yeah,
in a,
I again echo with this. Usually, people talk about the flaky breaking up at the wrong reasons and all that stuff. But I think this is very important to address. Sometimes we just keep on automating things without putting a brain. If they can be used, if they are a good ROI asset for us or not, or if they are giving a good test coverage or not, we just go on and automate. We want to automate everything, maximum things, without calculating the
yeah,
ROI. That's, yeah,
that's
sorry.
correct. Another very common mistake that I would like to talk about is creating tickets automatically when automation fails. Now the problem is that when an automated script fails, if we are creating without manual review of the problem, creating defects automatically, then we are generating tons of false positive. And false positive is one of our biggest enemy, because actually it will just cause lot of work. And
Yeah.
the problem is that it's not just cause a lot of work, but at some point the developers will just don't believe in the results. They will actually lose their confidence of the
Yeah.
testing, and this is another very well-known mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. False positives are actually dangerous. They take up a lot of time. Debugging the test, analyzing the reports with false failures take up a lot of time. So yeah, yeah. With this now, since we touched the point test coverage, there are certain myths or false statements, or whether they are false or not. I let's break them. I see some of the statements floating around over the internet as a conversation amongst the people. Um, it's like I'll say a common belief in QA, and maybe you can tell me if it is a fact or a complete nonsense.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. More test cases means more better test coverage.
Well, definitely not. It can be, but again, if only if you make sure that you are not over testing something. So you have to know actually that the coverage is the right coverage. You have to know that you are not that the testing that you are writing has a quality. You are testing something that other tests are not covering it, and you're testing at the right time of the software development life cycle. So yes, of course, additional tests can bring additional value if you are not over testing and just wasting time.
Okay. The next statement is CI/CD is all about running test fast. Quality comes later.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, because the CI/CD is not just to run the test, but also to run it in the right time and synchronize the data, synchronize the tests that and the build, what to run, when to run, on which environment to run it. So it also has a great part of managing the testing as well when it comes to the automation. And of course, you need a good test management platform as well to work in sync with it. But it definitely not just running. If it built up correctly, it will also help to get better quality.
Okay. Test management tools are only for large enterprises.
Definitely not. Okay, if you are a sole developer, then yeah, you don't need a test management tool. That's correct. But uh, if you have, let's put it that way. I think that the task management tool value is come in place if you have multiple teams, multiple or multiple products that you have to work on. So if it's a single product with a single team, yes, maybe you can manage your thing in an Excel table. That's fine. Uh, but when it comes to multiple products, especially in an agile work environment where you have a lot of sprints and some of the requirements, user stories can be also crossing different sprints as well, and you have to follow up what's happening. You have to understand where are your bottlenecks. You have to know, where are the what is the status of all the products if you can already release and publish your next sprint or not. Then it's very important to have a good end-to-end management tool.
Yeah, I again agree with this. Um, one more question one more statement I am recollecting. Few days ago, we were talking in a group of all QA people at my workplace, and somebody mentioned this statement: AI in test management is just an overpriced, fancy dashboard. I
Well,
smiled and I did not answer, but yeah, I would want you to answer this.
yeah, I totally disagree. Of course, with that, I think that AI can help us a lot in several different ways. Just to mention two ways that we have AI in PractiTest for. For example, for manual testing, we have a very nice, very cool AI tool that helps actually to write all the test steps using the description of the test and using best practices. Now, AI is not a human being yet, and it's and it also but this is a very good in that and very helpful statement in that case, because it means that it won't forget anything. We are, as human beings, sometimes we are forgetting to write down obvious steps, but an AI will not forget because it's a machine. So it will very structured and very nicely will actually show all the steps that we need in order to correctly test something according to the description. This is one thing that we have in PractiTest. Another very, very cool tool that we have is what we call a scoring of a test library. Now, this scoring is actually help us to understand the quality and the value of each and every test that you have. It takes dozens of parameters and machine learning tool, and it gives a score to each test. For example, if a test was not updated in the past year, it never generated any defect. It means that maybe you should review this test because maybe it's out of date. Maybe you are not, it's not covering what you think it covers, and you are just wasting your time to test it. And this is the better scenario, that you're just wasting the time. In the worst scenario, you are not covering actually what you think that you covers. So the value score, which is a machine learning AI tool, it will really help us to understand your quality, the quality of all your tests, which test you have to review, which test is high value. So for example, if you're coming out with a hot patch and you have to release it very fast, and you don't have time to rerun all the tests you have to choose only the most important ones that probably catch any problem that you have.
Yeah.
So our AI tool can help this.
Yeah, I am so impressed with this feature. I don't think so any other tool or AI platform gives the scoring, and I think with this scoring, and if we can eliminate the tests from the packs which are redundant, we are actually saving our maintenance cost as well.
Yes, exactly.
Time, effort, and cost. Uh, that's very pretty impressive feature in the platform. Now I am intrigued more to put my hands on this tool. Brilliant.
You're more than
I don't
welcome.
know.
uh, you're more than welcome to join our free trial, which is
Yes,
yeah, our free trial is actually a fully functional with all the functions that you have, all the functionalities that we have in the platform, and you can try out. So you're more than welcome to try it out.
yes, yes. I will, and it's really good effort. Whoever had this thought behind implementing this feature, that person is brilliant. The thought process is really brilliant. Scoring your test cases. Yeah, that's excellent. Okay, with this now, there is one more, and maybe probably the last statement in our, myth busting statements. Um, People talk about scaling. People talk of, even I am also a very pro person when it comes to scaling the solution. So, what do you think is the biggest mistake teams make when they try to scale their test automation? Is it trying to do everything at once?
Well, so the best approach is, is go step by step. Okay, if you start to do everything at once, then if the process that you planned is not the right process, not the right way, then you actually spent a lot of efforts and time to create a process and to do everything, and then you have to recreate everything. So go step by step. Don't try to run too fast. Okay, make sure that the automation that you are putting in place really covers and really give the requirement that you want and that you need, and also make sure that it gives that it's in good quality. Okay, make sure that you are importing the data, the results of it. One of the problems, for example, that or a mistake that we can see all over, that when it comes to the automation, the results are usually just a false or pass without any additional information, and 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 then it will be very hard for the development team to reproduce the problem, to debug the problem, and then they have to chase the testers who actually run the tests to understand, what's happened. So the process has to be well defined, and for that you cannot run. And you have to make sure not to collect the information into one place, not just if it's pass or fail, but all the logs, the different steps, the data, the test data that you used for it, the platform that you run it, and so on and so forth. And when you have all the data in one place, then you will have real view of what's happening, and you can help your development team to to debug and correct the problem, fix the problems.
Yeah. With this, I recollect a very fancy statement. Sometimes testers or developers say, it does not work on my machine, and the developers say, it works on my machine very fine. So we need that video clip to show to the developers, see, it is not working. So, do you think PractiTest platform has a recording feature of
No,
certain test cases or no?
yeah, we don't have a recording feature. However, you can attach recordings or screenshots or log files, actually any attachments to the defects or to the steps or actually any artifacts in the system. Now, it's not just that you can attach it, but also with integration to ticketing systems, we also synchronize this information. So, for example, if a developer using Azure DevOps or using Jira, they can see all the information also in their system. So they don't have to ask, they don't have to tell you, that on my machine it works, because they can see the log file, they can see the different screenshots, they can see the test data that was used, they can see in which platform it was, the system, the problem happened. So they have all the information in order to reproduce the problem.
Yeah, yeah, this seems right. Yeah. Screenshots, if you have screenshots in a sequence, that also helps in debug and reproduce the error.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about what is there in the future. Where do you see test management going in the next 5 years? Is AI really going to take over everything?
Uh, yes, so AI will be a big part of it. That's not a question anymore. We can see the capabilities already in beginning of 2025 of AI. But as you mentioned earlier, we have to learn how to use AI as a tool and not as a replacement, because AI still, again, it's not a human being, and they don't have the capabilities of a human being. In some cases, they are better than a human being. Okay, they are faster, they are more accurate. That's fine. But when it comes to understanding and of the entire process, when it comes to understand what the pain points of our customers, when you have to collect, from your customers what to uh, um, what are the different features that they really want to add, and then how to test them, and what are the main problems that happens. This is something that I think that AI is still not there. I don't know what will happen to AI in 5 years, because the capabilities are increasing exponentially. But in the viewable near future, definitely AI. It's an excellent tool, a very important tool, but just a tool.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. So whatever there is already present over the internet or any part of the world, AI can process better, refine it better, and make it more productive thing for us. But if the problem or solution is not at all discovered yet, for that human mind is only required. You cannot rely on the tool.
Totally
I
correct.
totally
I
agree.
totally agree with you.
Yeah. Um, okay, now coming back to some very basic question, like we have all dealt with a flaky test. We were just talking a while ago that there are a lot of false failures are there. Um, what's your best advice for dealing with them? Should we just give up on them, or they can be saved? Can we save? Can we limit the number of flaky tests?
Well, yes. So when it comes to flaky test, you have to review what, of course, those tests, and this is where our scoring system, our value score, is really come into the picture, because it helps us to understand why the test is flaky. We are also, our value score is also giving, advice to the user what to review in the test. Why is it flaky? Okay, maybe it was not updated. Maybe it's written in the wrong way. Maybe it's too short, the test. So maybe the tester just doesn't understand correctly what to do. There can be a lot of different reasons, but just to just to delete them or just to ignore them, it's not the way, because it means that you are ignoring a real test. Okay, so first, learn and understand what's the problem, learn and understand, what's the flake, and then and correct them, and learn and improve. Okay, this is, we are in the software market. Improvement, continuous improvement, this is, I think, that one of our basic value that we always have to follow. So no, don't ignore them, use them and improve them.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. Do you have any advice for someone who's new to automation, especially someone who's starting with DevOps and Agile?
Yes. So again, automation is something that's very, very helpful, and the world is going to the automation, but you have to do it step by step. So first of all, you have to find the right tool. There are plenty of automation tools out there, and most of them are really, really good tools. But you have to find the right tool. First of all, that the best for the for your company. It depends, on which environment you are working on. What is this software language, the development language that you are using,
Yeah.
and a lot of other parameters. So first of all, and I think that this is the most important, to find the right tool that you have.
Yeah.
Then find a way to connect, to integrate the tool with your test management tool. Okay, because if it's not integrated to your test management tool, then you will have to manage two different worlds: your manual testing and your automating testing, and you will never have a complete picture. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's very important from the very beginning, plan the process as part of the end to end. Don't try just write some individual scripts running somewhere. No, from the very beginning, plan it as an end to end process.
Yeah, I agree. I often say test automation is like a marathon. It's not a sprint. Along this line, who needs a high-speed racer car when you are just starting, when you are just starting to learn how to drive?
That,
So something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, perfect. Robbie, we'll take up one more question, and I see there are a lot of questions in the comment section. We'll start answering those questions for our audience
excellent.
back. Okay. The last question is, if you have to explain PractiTest magic in one word, what would it be?
In one word.
Yeah, one word. One
Oh,
word.
uh, holistic, maybe. Okay.
Okay. Uh,
Uh, and to explain it, what I mean in that, it's that, to have the capability and the ability to see everything all together. Okay,
yeah.
as one word, and that's exactly which I think that we are giving to our customers.
Yeah, that's a perfect word. For me, with this scoring system, I think this is a game changer.
Yeah.
It has impressed me like anything. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Let's take up some of the questions. Hello to everyone who are saying hello, and why the number of test cases are important. That's our first question.
Well, the number of test cases, why it's important, actually, because you have in the process, you have a certain amount of time that you can invest in testing. You have, if it's manual testing, you have a certain number of testers that you have. If it's automation testing, you still, from the end of the build to the publish, you have, I don't know, you have several hours that, and you have to fit your end-to-end testing into that time window. So you have a specific time window that you have to finish your job. So that's why it's very important to have high quality tests, but not too many tests, because then you will just become a bottleneck of the software lifecycle.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. You should not have a lot of test also, and you should not write minimum test also that is not sufficient for testing. So you need to have the balanced approach.
Exactly.
Okay. Next question is, please explore pair-wise testing and its importance. Any modern techniques to improve testing practices we follow nowadays?
Can you repeat the question? I'm just didn't you know?
Uh, Please explore pair-wise testing and its importance. Any modern techniques to improve testing practices we follow nowadays? I think there are two parts to this question. The user is asking about the pairwise testing and its importance, and any modern techniques which are the best practices these days.
Yeah. Uh, well, uh, to be honest, okay, I am not very experienced with pairwise testing, so I would skip this question to someone
Okay.
who is more experienced in that. But from techniques in general, this is something that, of course, we are gathering, experience all the time. There are new techniques with new tools such as AI and new automation tools that coming into the picture. And this is something that there are a lot of different, such as your podcast or any other webinars and conferences and forums where we are just studying all the time and learning from each other experiences, how to fit the testing and how to fit our processes with the ever changing world.
Okay. One best these recent practice which I always recommend is you start testing early and you test often also. Many times between the releases we just miss some critical defects, especially at the place where releases sprints are 2 weeks, just short of 2 weeks. So it's always good to test early and test very often. You should have a pack of test cases which runs does a scheduled run, so that you don't miss any important defect or critical bug into the next environment.
Mhm.
Okay, next question is, what would be the best practice to start automation in a project? Is it from day one?
Yes, I think that it is from day one. Again, you have to build up your process and your plans, how you would like to manage your testing. Doesn't matter if it's automation or if it's manual testing, because to change a process, it's always later. It's always a bigger effort. So I think that yes, it's a good idea to have a plan from the very beginning. How would you like to process with your testing, and
Yeah.
not try to catch up later on. So yeah, definitely, I would start from the very beginning.
Yeah. I would also agree. If your application are stable and they are long term, you should plan it from day one. But if the application is very new and it's just starting up, you need to have the processes in place first, your strategy in place, and then you should go about it. So it depends on what kind of project we are dealing with. Um, then there is a interesting question: is parallel testing possible with PractiTest?
Yes, you can run testing also in, of course, in manual and in automation. You can have parallel testing. You can actually manage the workflow. Okay, how would you like to run? What do you want to run parallel? Where do you want to run this? What are the data that you want to use for the testing, such as parameters? This is a little bit related to the pairwise testing, actually. Using the list of parameters that correct. So yes, the answer is definitely yes. You can you can run tests in parallel. Um, Actually, any number of flows you can run. Yes.
Okay. What do you mean by parallel? Is it parallel across the different operating systems, platforms, or is it number of browsers we can run parallelly?
Well, you can do both. I mean, it really depends on the team that you are running. It depends on the application that you want to run. Depend on the dependencies between the different testing. Sometimes you have some dependencies, some preconditions that you have to follow. In many cases, you want to enforce a specific order, so you have to make sure that several tests are running, in a specific order, and then the tool can ensure that those tests you are running not parallel, but one after each other, and the user will get notification once the previous test is ended. So the tester will know that now it's his turn and can start with the testing. This is when you are using a single flow, but with such flows you can have any number of parallel runs. Of course, it relates also to automation. We can manage different queues for automation, for different, just because you want to speed up the run, or because of different environments, as you mentioned.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the same person has said, I am evaluating a tool for my team. We should try a trial version and see the results. And yes, we can probably have a POC. Oh, yes,
Great.
you should. I would vouch for it. You should connect with the PractiTest team. I will paste some link. I'll do a short post after this video, where I'll give you some trial version links and other stuff, and reach out to their team. They are really helpful and they respond very fast. So I can vouch on this. I'm sorry, Robbie, you were answering something. I just took your stage.
No, I finished my answer. That's okay. They didn't take my stage. That's great.
Okay, perfect. The last question which I see here is, rest assured, karate framework or robo framework is good. I think I can take up this question. Karate framework is specially for API testing. So yes, go with, if API is there, go with the Karate framework. Robo framework uses request library at the backend. It is more of a Selenium Python code. So you have to write everything there. Whereas in rest assured, with Karate framework, you get a more of a framework packaged thing. So yeah,
That's correct.
yeah,
100%, yes.
right. Is there, I don't see any more questions. So I think this is an end. Oh no, while we were closing, there is one more question which popped up. How domain plays an important role in manual and automation testing?
Uh, Domain, you mean
Business. I
business
think
domains?
business. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, of course, the different domains has different, because of regulations. Okay, the domain is very important, because you have to make sure that the specific regulations of a specific domain is taken into account when you are making that you are doing your testing. Also, the in different domains, the end users are very different, and the importance of different features, or the harm that you can do with different problems is very different. If it's a healthcare company or a fintech company, then any escaped bug, can be tragic. Okay.
Yeah.
uh, if it's the gaming domain, okay, then of course it's still not, it's still very uncomfortable, to have escape bugs, but it's not as tragic as in other domain. So I think that this is how domain can be really a part of the the way of thinking about testing. There are domains where it's 100. You have to be on 100% of
Yeah.
your.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. With domain, there is a different critical parts which we need to test. Like you said, fintech business. For fintech business, cookie testing also becomes absolute mandatory. Whereas with not insurance or fintech domain, you can still consider cookie testing as an optional one.
That's
Um,
correct.
so yeah. Okay, we have one more question. While running our scripts, does it cater for web-based or desktop-based both? I think she's asking for PractiTest. PractiTest does support both web-based and desktop-based applications.
Yes. So as I mentioned, we are pretty agnostic, what is the application that you have, okay, because we can integrate with any testing automation tool and scripting. So again, for us it's really agnostic, and we can support both.
Okay, perfect. Um, okay,
As well,
see,
mobile
this
and
will,
yeah,
yeah,
I see the and the next question is yes. Again, the answer is yes, totally yes. And yeah, we will happy to show it to you in a trial, and
yeah,
more than happy to assist you with that.
yeah. Yeah, I think you should connect to someone at PractiTest. They'll help you set up the your POC as well. Um, so that is how you can take it further.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this has been really good session. I enjoyed talking to you, Robbie.
Thank you
So
very
much
much.
thank you for this, for the lovely insights, and some of the key takeaways which I'll be posting out. I am again in awe with that feature of scoring the test cases. I think something has stick to my mind now. Yeah, so this is one of the conversation that makes me rethink that do I know everything about the test management or there is more to it?
There is always more.
There is
For all of
always more. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Robbie.
Thank you
And
very
thank
much,
you
Neelam. I
everyone
appreciate
who
it.
were yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone who were there with us in this stream. Thank you so much for your support and questions. Okay. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.